Brian, who do we have signed in tonight? Susan, come on down.
Good evening. I'm Susan Gunther. I live on Julie Court in the Meadowbrook Acres, and I know the board has been given the proposal from Meadowbrook Acres residents to take advantage of the subdivision sign replacement policy for our division off of Clemmer Road. We are a subdivision of 76 homes, and in 2016 we determined that we wanted to replace the entrance sign at the beginning of our development because it is quite weathered and falling apart. And so what we have done since that time as a neighborhood have come together. We've raised funds for our part of the cost of the sign, and under the subdivision policy of the town of Wheatfield, the town will contribute 1/3 of the cost of that. And we do have sign proposals, but we don't have a final design yet or a final cost. But the cost that we're looking at would not exceed about $4,000 for the total cost of the sign. And the policy of the town states that it would be up to a cost of just about an $8,000 sign would be the maximum for the third that the town would contribute. So we are well below what the maximum would be for the town to contribute. And our part of that has been raised through bottle collections in our neighborhood, through the residents. Some of the kids have helped out, but we have returned 57,000 bottles from our 76 houses. So we have raised in total, between doing that, we had a block sale, we did some other things, we've raised $3,274. So we are asking permission of the town to move forward on our project, even though we don't have a final design yet, because we do want to get a sign in before winter.
Susan, I don't think you need to do a resolution. Basically,
Yeah, it's my understanding that at this point your group is seeking now to go out to get some quotes.
Yes, we do have some quotes, but they vary between like a $1,500 sign and a $7,000 sign. So we're, based on what we've looked at and what we're probably coming close to, we're probably between a 3 and 4, which the town, again, based on the policy, could go up to an $8,000 sign, because the maximum the town is going to contribute is $2,500, but we're not even close to that.
Well, at this point, from what I've heard and looking at the sign replacement policy, before the town, I mean, you and your group are free to get those quotes and to focus in on the ones that you think are applicable. Mm-hmm. Once you have the ones, and I guess you also have to decide on the design of the sign
right.
as well.
Right.
So once you have a fixed design and then you get quotes, and we would recommend in our policy is get 3 of them or three proposals, and then when you bring those back to us for this particular thing, then we can go ahead with the motion to indicate that we're going to go along with it. So at this point, you're free to get those and focus in on your design, but I don't believe, in looking at the research, you need any permission from the town. You can go ahead and get those. Once you submit those to the town, then we can work with you for a resolution and the resolution, once we figure on the one that is most appropriate, is to move along with that one.
Okay.
So we have our policy once you get the quotes lined up for the sign, and I suggest you first focus on that one design that everyone in your community agrees upon, and then then the quotes will be apples to apples instead of mixed up a little bit.
Right. Okay. In addition to that, we're also asking permission to do work down at the island. Beyond that, with landscaping and that, we understand the town won't contribute to the cost of that. That's part of what the money we've raised would go towards. But it's the town's property, it's not our property, so for us to go down there and do work with pulling out the dead bushes and replacing bushes and things like that, does the board have any issue with us doing that kind of work down there?
Are you looking to do that right now, or until when you start the sign project?
Well, we don't have a logistics plan out yet, what the bush go out when the sign goes in, but we're hoping to complete an entire project.
Well, if you're looking to do it, once you get those quotes, we could wrap it up in one motion. If you're looking for a motion today to just do a landscaping there, we could probably just do something allowing you to go and do landscaping now.
I think we should, because we're going to be on town property. removing shrubs and et cetera, I think to protect them and us, we should do at least a resolution to allow them to go onto the property, remove shrubs, et cetera.
Okay.
So if I could have a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay. A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The only thing I would suggest, and obviously you're going to be on town property, be very careful when you're out there because I know that entrance, people coming and going, so maybe put some cones out there to give yourself some room to work.
Right.
If you need cones, the highway department, I'm sure, will make them available to you. If you have shrubs and things like that you want to clean up. The other thing I would caution is I know we've had islands over the time, and I know Paul has dealt with this, where when the shrubs reach full maturity, they're out over the driving way, so I'd be very careful with that.
Yeah, our island is actually pretty large, and the shrubbery is all in the center of it.
Okay.
On the outside of it is all stone.
Okay.
And I do want to take this moment to tell the appreciation we have for Kathy and Paul for working with us on this project, because we wouldn't have gotten this far without their input and their ideas and their support.
Can I ask you one other question,
Yeah.
Susan? How much debris will you have when you start removing the shrubs? Something that the town could help you with to pick it up?
Yeah. There's one very tall one, and
Is that okay, Paul? Okay, great. So you're way ahead of me. Okay. Okay, anything else, gents?
The only thing I would add is for our meeting schedule, I'm not sure your time frame, at least with regard to the signs.
Yeah.
I think our next meeting is November 5th, and then we'll have do we have one 2 weeks after that, Kathy?
Yes, we do.
So if you want to try to get it in, we'll need to do that final motion to select and authorize the town disbursement,
okay.
Prior. So you keep those time frames in mind. And if we're going to do a motion, typically about the Thursday before that board meeting is when I put together the motion package. So
Okay.
You'd want to get a hold of Kathy or me, and I can write up the motion so we make sure we have it for one of those board meetings.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Susan, thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, was that it? Where's Brian? I guess that was the only one. Okay, that was the only one? Okay, great. For the record, all board members are present. Approval of the minutes, October 1st, 2018, please.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Bill payment of October 15th, 2018. Voucher number 2018194 through 201821104 with a total amount of $558,614.48. Have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Department heads, Paul Siegman.
Well, you probably ain't going to want to hear this, but we did put some salters and plows on today. We'd like to get a couple of them ready because you never know. It's not fun to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. We've been there and done that. If you don't have your brush out by now, don't bother putting it out. The chipper's going to be going off the road this week. Once the leaves start going, I have to put two leaf trucks out. That's 6 guys. I only have 11 guys left in my department. I have 1 guy that's out, and my seasonal's last day was today. So that leaves me 6 guys to do brush or leaves, and 5 guys. But this is also the time of the year where a lot of them use their vacation time, which I don't mind because we're not plowing snow usually.
Yeah.
So we are a little short-handed on staffing. So if you don't have it out by now, don't bother putting it out because it could end up sitting there. If we get a day and I have an extra person, we'll go around town, but don't plan on a regular pickup for the rest of the year now.
One of the things I mentioned this morning at our department head meeting, if the press wouldn't mind putting a little blurb in there that the town is not picking up chips after what, next week, or are they done now?
Well, I'm going to try to make sure they cover the whole town.
Okay.
Just one last time, then that'll be it.
Because I know it's always controversial that people are putting brush out and we don't have the chipper out, and it can become a problem. So at least to pick up the fact that the chipper will no longer be in use after, say, next week.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing is if you put leaves out, please do not put them in your ditches. My guys are not going to climb down in the ditch to pull your leaves out. Make sure they're in a pile, don't put them right next to the mailboxes. This is all on the town website that tells you how we'd like you to do it, because they can't get close to the mailbox with the snorkel on the leaf machine. They do. Sometimes they end up breaking the mailbox off, so just remember that. No ditches, and try to keep it out in the center of your yard where they can work around it and get to it. Okay, that's all I got.
That's it, Paul?
Yeah.
Thank you. Richie Donner, Water Sewer Department. How you doing tonight, Rich?
Doing well.
Good.
Since the last time we met, the Water Sewer Department has sat through the initial startup of the 5 generators for out in the Town Line Road area. They are in service. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done yet with the alarm systems. And we basically went around and filled all the tanks up with fuel, so we won't be playing catch-up anymore when there's a power outage out there with the sewer pumping. So from the time it used to take us to call somebody in, get somebody to the shop, hook a generator up, take it out there, and then jump from station to station to pump, now everything will be automatic. As soon as the power goes out, generators will start up, transfer over, and we should eliminate a lot of issues on that side of town.
And that's 100% operational now?
Yes, they are up and running and operational.
Great.
The other thing I have is a motion to purchase a track camera for our system that we have for televising sewer lines. This would be utilizing the $20,000 from the Niagara County Sewer District that they hand out every year. We would need a little extra funding for it. It would be purchased from Subsite Electronics, and the cost of it is $23,571.24.
Just so everyone knows, the Niagara County Sewer District gives all of the communities in Niagara County $20,000 per year to help assist in the sewer maintenance. I guess more specifically would be sewer.
To eliminate infiltration into the system.
So this is our $20,000 from Niagara County, and I think it's a great investment.
They did help us purchase the system we have now.
Yeah.
But the reason I only have one price is because it's a sole bidder.
Sure.
The track camera, or the track system that we're looking at purchasing here, matches up with the system we have.
And that's coming out of California, correct?
That is, the company is out of California, that is correct. Subsite Electronics.
This motion's not in the regular motion?
No,
No.
it's not.
I just got the pricing this morning, and I know Don wants to get it into the sewer board as soon as possible.
The sewer board has asked me, we're actually the last ones, I believe, to get the $20,000. So I'd like to get it into the sewer board as soon as possible.
I'll make that motion.
The motion?
I'll second.
The motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Rich. Mike Rinaldi, Recreation Director.
Two things tonight. First thing, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. starts our pickleball. We'll do that Tuesdays, Thursdays, 10 a.m. to noon. $3 for residents, $4 for non-residents. And that will run until mid to end December, and then we'll take a break for a couple weeks and start back up in January. Second thing, Halloween party, October 27th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. over at the Youth Center. We'll have snacks, crafts, costume contest, hay rides, weather permitting, and we're going to decorate the garage behind the center for a haunted house. So, looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Usually get a... Sure.
It's on what you're talking about here. So I read something about an escape room.
Yeah, it's just a type of spin-off to the escape room that you can go to with your friends. There's a couple of them, one in Tonawanda. No, it's different. It's separate. It's just basically we're borrowing the theory in the concept and making it our own.
It's going to be a part of the party?
No, it's
separate.
It's completely different.
Okay.
It's just one of the activities we have at the youth center.
Gotcha. Okay.
We like to make things up and just kind of run with it and see what happens. Other than that, that's all I got.
Anything for Mike, guys? Also, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Mike Clark, Building Inspector. before we get started, Mike, I see they started the concrete work today.
That was what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry, I'll take it back.
See, I don't have a
Go ahead.
report.
Mike,
Let me
go
start
ahead.
again. Yeah, good evening. Yes, long waited, but we did start it today. We were hoping to pour it today too, but it was just a little bit too rainy. So tomorrow morning we have some fresh concrete
Yeah,
and no more trip hazard.
Sorry about that, Mike. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
Yeah, I did, but that's okay, sir. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
And how do we make out with Bolton? That's going forth now on Walmore Road?
Yeah, and we're halfway through it today, so
Okay, good.
should be all cleaned up tomorrow.
Thank you. I know you'll make some residents happy.
Got a few comments already.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And thank you.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thanks.
There was a zoning violation which needed some major cleanup, and Mike is taking the initiative to get it done. And of course, I'm not going to bring up names or location, but it is being cleaned up. And thanks, Mike. And Bridget is not here tonight. I believe she's off. Her husband was ill. And so Bridget is not here tonight, and R.C. Arlene is not here tonight. And Tim Zuber has no report. Nice try.
It'll be a short one, don't worry. We actually have a couple items on our agenda. The first is the planning board report. Fortunately, there's only been one planning board meeting since the last time we gave our planning board report, and there was only one item on that agenda. So that would be the October 3rd meeting, and the one item was a site plan for Driftwood Suites Hotel expansion. You've probably heard me say this several times in the past, but we'll read it through one last time. The applicant proposes to construct a new two-story 9,800 square foot hotel unit at 2768 Niagara Falls Boulevard. The 20-unit building and associated parking would be located on a recently acquired parcel of land on the south side of 2768 Niagara Falls Boulevard, which is their neighboring lot. A new pool house is also proposed to be constructed at the south end of the existing townhome units. The planning board issued a negative declaration under seeker and subsequently approved the site plan with noted conditions and contingent upon engineering review. And that is our planning board summary from the October 3rd meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, the second item on our agenda, not to be confused with the public hearing we had at the beginning of this meeting, but we have some additional code change language that we'd like to put before the board. Actually, I believe at the board's request. Back at the beginning of the year, we did change the town code as far as new development to require the developers to cover the cost of adding signs into new subdivisions, the street signs and traffic signs. One of the things we considered early on with that was also doing that with street lights, but from the information that we had found out from National Grid, there really wasn't an initial charge for the street lights that could be reimbursed by the developer. Everything with these street lights seems to be converted to an annual fee that includes the poles, the power, and conduit and such. So we didn't do anything with it at that time. With the topic coming back up recently, we did look at the code again, and there is something that we can do to address new subdivisions in the future. I don't mean an additional phase. We actually only have 2 subdivisions left in the town that have 1 phase left each in them. But what this would be for is any new subdivision that would come in front of the town. And for those, the language that we were proposing in the code would be to require them to set up a lighting district for that subdivision. Kind of hard to do when you have an existing subdivision that 7/8 of it is already built and just do it for the last phase. But making that policy to go forward to have any new subdivision without question have to be required to set up their district is what the language would do. Subdivisions with private roads in them already have to be include a homeowners association, and the code already requires them to be responsible for putting together a lighting district in those subdivisions. So this would just be expanding that concept to any new subdivisions that are brought before the town.
So, for you, it's applicable to what you just mentioned. So if we do move forward and decide that we want to do our own LED streetlights in the future, it's possible, depending on what we do, that will fall on the town to put out that infrastructure. So it's something we might want to consider. Because it sounded like you had touched base with National Grid, but they were quoting you how it works now.
Right.
Not necessarily how it's going to work next year.
Right. So, again, the board could hold off until that is all squared away, or you could pass this, consider this now and have it in place, and then we could just change that again.
It's a question. I mean, by passing this now, all it's really doing is, unless I'm incorrect, establishing the new subdivision a lighting district itself.
Correct.
But wouldn't it still have to conform with our new regulations if we go to LED lighting that you're working on, sir? Wouldn't they have to comply with our requirements to go to LED lighting?
They would have to use our LED lights, because that's what our contract would be if we proceed. But current state, based on what Tim just mentioned, it sounds like there is no upfront fee if we did it now. But there will be an upfront fee if we own that infrastructure in the future. So it might be just a law that we have to do once we cross that bridge, and if we get to that point. Maybe we can do it.
And really what we're putting in front of the board now is some suggested language. A next step would be to, like we did for the last piece, schedule a public hearing if the board wants to think about it for a couple of weeks, and then have a public hearing and get the public input on it.
I think based on, we've had this problem before and it's come up, I don't think it's a bad idea to require, I mean, basically it's going to require the developers to put in an infrastructure when they plan those new subdivisions. I don't know if there are any new from scratch subdivisions on the horizon, but I think it's beneficial to the town when these subdivisions come in to have that lighting district, because typically in these subdivisions they have more lights than is required, and people that live out on a lonely stretch of road, they may be in their taxes or funding the expense of a better lit neighborhood. So if you're going to get into that neighborhood, it makes sense for that neighborhood to provide for its own lighting district. You're paying your own share. So I don't think it's a bad problem. I think if we do go to LEDs in the future, we can easily make sure that this law conforms and that what they put in their infrastructure has LEDs or is easily converted to LEDs. I don't think it's a negative to have it in place.
Well, I believe our code also already says that street lighting shall be done for town standards. We don't really have a specific town standard right now. So when that does occur, the town standard is put in place.
I agree too. I mean, if a new subdivision comes in, it's going to have to go through site plan review, sketch plan, site plan review, town approval, town board approval. So I would guess by the time it gets to us, it'll be LED. You know, I mean, that would be one of our requirements, obviously, in that lighting district. So I think we're okay.
Personally, I think it's a good idea to do it sooner than later, because if a developer comes in, they're going to say, well, you're singling me out. We can say now, we have this in place. If you're going to do this, you're going to have a lighting district.
Plus, if it takes, I'm not sure what the time frame is with getting through this whole light conversion and all that. If something were to happen in between there, you wouldn't want to lose the chance to have one more subdivision at least covered under that. So.
I don't have the number right at the tip of my tongue, but I know Kurt does. How many streetlights do we have in town? It's over 400? 630. I know it's over 400, but so we have 630 now. So if a subdivision comes in with, say, 15 or 20 new lights, those 20 or new lights stay on the back to that lighting district, and they don't go on the back to the tax base.
Okay.
Now there is a little bit of extra work for Bridget then when that comes, because she has to proportion those out, but sure. I would think that is offset by the benefit. So all we really had is to present that to the board, and we have a motion in our packet for you if you so wish to schedule a public hearing for later on this fall for that. The last item that we have in our packet was really what we discussed at the beginning of the meeting with that public hearing, is to make that change for the town code between the zoning board and planning board approvals or referrals. We did include two motions in our packet as well. The first would be for seeker, and the second would be to approve those changes if the board is so inclined to do so. So that's our packet. Is there any questions on any of this?
No, I think I'm good. Anybody else? Well, thank you, Tim.
Okay, thank you.
Motions, per our town attorney, Matt Brooks.
Okay, we have several motions for tonight. Let me just make sure we have them all here. Okay, first motion is the one that Tim just recently mentioned, presented by Wendell. Motion to schedule a public hearing on proposed changes to street lighting requirements of the town code, Chapter 169, subdivision of land, on a date and time to be decided by the board.
What's your pleasure, Jack, on a public hearing?
How about the 19th of November at 7 p.m.? Our board meeting's on the 26th. 26th, all right, 26th. You say that. 26th at 7 p.m.?
Sounds good.
I'll second Randy's motion.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next motion, again, mentioned by Tim Wendell regarding our public hearing that was today. It is a seeker motion. Whereas the Town of Wheatfield Code contains and specifies the local laws and ordinances of the Town of Wheatfield, and it has been determined that the Town Code is outdated and does not properly address the issues concerning subdivision signage, and whereas the town has prepared draft language to revise Town Code Chapter 200 zoning, and whereas in accordance with Part 617 of the implementing regulations pertaining to Article 8, State Environmental Quality Review Act of the Environmental Conservation Law, the Wheatfield Town Board has conducted an environmental review of this revised code, and whereas the town has identified there are no other permitting or approval agencies for this action, and whereas the public hearing was held regarding these code amendments on October 15, 2018, and comments were received, and whereas pursuant to municipal home rule law, the town board is proposing to adopt the zoning code amendment by enacting a local law. Now therefore be it resolved, the Wheatfield Town Board, in accordance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has determined the proposed amendment of Town Code Chapter 200 zoning will not adversely affect the natural resources of the state and or the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and is consistent with the social and economic considerations, and therefore issues the attached seeker negative declaration in accordance with Section 617.7 of the seeker regulations, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign the environmental assessment form, which will act as a negative declaration.
Have a motion, Judge?
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Yeah. One more time, Tim.
Yes.
Subdivision signage, this is going to be, ZBA, planning board referral. Oh, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. You still have you want to make another motion on
I'll
it?
make that motion with Tim's change.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next motion again by Wendell. Whereas the Wheatfield Town Code contains and specifies the local laws and ordinances of the town of Wheatfield, and it has been determined the town code is outdated and does not properly address issues, and this is Tim's modification, concerning ZBA planning board referrals. And whereas the town has prepared draft language to revise existing sections of the zoning chapter in the Wheatfield Town Code, and whereas the town board has held the required public hearing on October 15, 2018, and received public comment, and whereas pursuant to municipal home rule law, the town board is proposing to enact the local law as follows. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Wheatfield, New York, that the Wheatfield Town Board amends the Wheatfield Code as follows. Zoning, Chapter 200, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement. And in the interest of time, that's as presented. We'll go to the next section. Whereas the town board has issued a negative declaration in accordance with seeker requirements, now therefore be it resolved, the Wheatfield Town Board amends the Code of the Town of Wheatfield, Chapter 200, entitled Zoning, to provide for the revision of the Town Code as referenced above.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, a second please.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, next motion from the Water and Sewer Department to authorize, the hiring of Noah Walker as a laborer for the Water Sewer Department at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the Water Sewer Department and pending approval of the Human Resources Department and Niagara County Sheriff's Department criminal background check, and one addition as was discussed, and also based on this individual's prior employment with the town, any probation on this position would end January 1st, 2019.
So moved. Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Okay, next motion from the Highway Department to approve and authorize the Town of Wheatfield Highway Department to purchase a new Bobcat 84-inch sweeper with gutter brush for the Highway Department skid steer in the amount of $5,149.85 pursuant to New York State Contract Number PC 67141, Award Number 22792, Group Number 40625. Said equipment will be used on small road jobs where the town's large sweeper is impractical or unavailable, and the purchase will be made out of the Highway Department's 2018 budget.
Motion please.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion from the Recreation Department to transfer Sidney Krangle and Lamar Roundtree from seasonal part-time to permanent part-time recreation aid at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the Recreation Department and pending approval of Human Resources and a Niagara County Sheriff's Department criminal background check.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion again from Recreation to hire Caleb Ribick as permanent part-time recreation aide for the youth center at a rate of pay and terms pursuant to the job specifications of the Recreation Department and pending approval of the Human Resources and Niagara County Sheriff's Department criminal background check.
So moved. A motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, excuse me, motion carried.
Next motion from Highway, be it resolved that the town board does hereby approve the following 2018 budget transfer for the Highway Department as follows, and that is as presented.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion from the Budget Director to approve changes to the 2019 tentative budget for the General Fund, Highway Fund, Water Fund, and Sewer Fund, increasing total budget appropriations by $3,193 and estimated revenues by $78,193, and decreasing appropriated fund balance by $75,000 for various accounts as set forth in the schedule below.
Any questions, guys?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. That's all right. Opposed?
Next motion from the Firearms Permit Review Board to approve firearm discharge permits for the individuals on the attached Firearm Review Board list.
You want to read those names or not?
I typically don't, but if you prefer, I can. It's up to you.
It's only a few.
Okay. Renewals: Marcus Perry, Kevin McKay, Tom Peltier, Ronald Galata, and Robert Galata.
And these are all renewals.
Yes, it appears to be all renewals.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, then there was an additional, one more late motion from the Budget Director. Motion to schedule public hearing on the November 5th, 2018 at time to be determined on the 2019 preliminary budget. At what time for the preliminary budget for the public hearing?
Yeah, we'll set it up at our next meeting at 6:45.
6:45.
Is that okay?
On the 5th?
Mm-hmm. That good, Ed? Okay.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all the motions I have this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Sorry about that. I think it's a good thing. I don't. Board members, Larry Helwig.
Just one item. I know last meeting I mentioned about National Grid leaving a whole bunch of debris at Liberty Drive. It looks like it's all cleaned up. I don't know. Did anybody have any luck contacting them?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, I know somebody must have gotten your ear because looks like most of it's cleaned up now. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Larry, thank you. Gil Doucette. Thank you, Joe. Kurt Doctor.
Yeah, some updates on LED. So first, Don, last meeting you had asked about other Niagara County towns that are getting serious about participating in the aggregation, and I do have a list. So at this point, every town in Niagara County has been contacted.
Okay.
And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that are at least taking the next step like we are. That's Cambria, Heartland, Lewiston, Newfane, Somerset, Barker, Middleport, and Youngstown.
Youngstown, okay.
Are all the towns. And if all of them move forward with us, that makes for 2,000 total lights. And that is enough for critical mass, for sure. If everybody else participates, like Lockport has a lot of lights, and a few others, that would take us all the way up to close to 3,000.
And do you want to explain why that's important?
Well, because part of the whole concept with the NIPA proposal is group together all the Niagara County towns, get a contract together with a vendor, and then all of us kind of work together to convert to LED, and then all the contracting happens together. So we have all the, the mass from everybody's streetlights, group together contracts, and hopefully that saves us money over the long term. In addition to that, I think last time I reported that I was meeting with National Grid to get a buyout amount. I did do that. I do have those figures, and what I'd like to do is maybe talk about setting up a session to have NIPA come in and present the figures to us. They do look favorable, but I don't want to go into too much detail. I'd like to kind of have them come in and take us all through. I'd propose that maybe we do it at the end of November. I don't know if that's... This would be with just us. And at that time, we should have a pretty good idea about the other towns that are participating. So we'll have some pretty good talk.
So this would be a public meeting or a meeting of the town board with power authority?
So this, I'm proposing a public meeting, and then if we wanted to, have a smaller breakout in the interim over the next month and a half, that allows us more time.
Okay, do you want to check with Joe to see what he's convening for, and then set up a meeting from there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could. Okay.
We'll shoot for the end of November, and if he has a date that's good for him, then we'll set up a public meeting.
Okay. That works good. And the only other update I have is in terms of the Comprehensive Plan Task Force, we're going to be meeting on the 25th. So anybody interested in coming out, 6:30 at the community center. And that's it.
Thank you, Kurt. Randy?
I have nothing.
Okay. I only, a couple things, just that we are working on union negotiations in the town. We had a lengthy meeting with FEMA, the Federal Agency, Emergency Management Agency, last week related to a floodplain issue. I can't say it was the most positive we've ever had, but we did have that meeting. And we're also working on our health care benefits for the town employees. So it's been a busy time of the year. As you know, we finished our bids on our waste, and modern, of course, was a lower bid. The lowest bid, but it was up considerably. And that's all I have. Our next meeting will be November 5th, 2018 at 7 o'clock. And any public input related to any, I'm sorry, Kathy has something. Sorry about that. I told her to hit me, she forgot.
I have just a couple things today. Just a reminder, anybody who's interested, there is a muzzleloader course this Thursday at the community center. So registration is still open for that. In keeping with hunting and that type of thing, the second round doe permits will start up again on November 1st. That is first come, first served, so anybody who needs some extra doe tags. And the last thing I have, we do this every year. We have somebody come in from the Veterans Administration. They come into the community center to meet with any veteran or their family members to go over the benefits that are available to them. So our date for that will be November 28th. You would call my office to schedule an appointment, or if you're interested, we can give you more information on that. So I'd like to get that into the paper, and it'll be posted in my office and on the town website. So any veterans, anybody you know, it's really a nice service that they provide, and there's a lot of new benefits that are available to the veterans and their family members. So it doesn't hurt to at least come and talk to them.
Well, Kathy, just one of the things I'd like to attend this. They will schedule a time for you if I call, and they'll put the time for you to attend?
Yep, and you get it usually takes anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on what information has gone over. And it's a one-on-one, so you'll meet one-on-one with the Veterans Administration counselor, and they help you.
Okay, any questions on what we've discussed tonight?
I just wanted to add, Don, you announced the next meeting November 5th at 7. We did schedule at 6:45 the public hearing, at 6:45 on the budget, so just want to make sure we got that in.
The regular meeting is at 7.
Correct.
Right? And we have the public hearing at 6:45. Okay. Motion to adjourn. Okay. I just, oh, we do have one, yes.
Two questions, if I could. One is, what the heck is a firearm discharge permit?
In the town of Wheatfield, over the years, you know that we passed a law many, many years ago not allowing rifles to be discharged in the town of Wheatfield. So they formed a firearms board that would regulate the discharge of rifles in the town. And muzzle loaders, as you know, at one time they're an antique firearm, but they are a rifle. So they formed this committee to give people permission to use muzzle loaders within the town of Wheatfield. So anybody that uses a muzzle loader, one, needs permission to hunt on some particular piece of property, whether it be their own or permission from someone else, and they need a firearms discharge permit for muzzle loaders only. Because it is a muzzle loader, however, and it is a rifle, but typically the muzzle loaders today, although some of the newer muzzle loaders don't have the velocity that a high-powered rifle would have. So that, yes. Yeah. And I gave that class for 20-some years. I know. So this will be my first not giving the class.
And one other question, and that's to do with the Summit Park Mall.
Yep.
And it was brought up last meeting that there was this meeting, and I think you said you were going to meet with the owners.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I talked to a representative. This goes back a couple of weeks ago, and this has happened twice now, where they're trying to set up a meeting with the owners to discuss future plans with the mall. And I'm not at liberty to say what these plans are, but there is some, hopefully, some good things going to happen over there. You know, we've heard this before, so I can't promise anything, but I have talked to some Canadian developers that would like to come into the mall. I can't tell you the type of business that they're looking at doing. They've asked us not to discuss it, but we have some people coming in. And again, I can't say what they're interested in, but there is several things that they're looking at doing at Summit Mall. I heard about the graffiti tonight. I'm going to check it out, and if necessary, I think Mike Clark left. We'll have to check it out. I wasn't aware of the graffiti that's behind the mall. Okay? Kathy has one more
I
thing.
have one more thing. I wanted to congratulate the people at Meadowbrook Acres for all the work they've done in getting their sign project. It's nice to see communities working together and neighborhoods working together. And they've been working on this, like she said, for a couple years. And all the things that you did as a joint effort, it's really nice to see that in the neighborhoods. And hopefully somebody else gets something out of that as well. But you should be applauded for all the work that you did. So it'll be nice to see your sign.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn, please. Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, say